Let them miss you. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something that has the power to change the way you live your life, how you lead, and how you build meaningful relationships. It's something that, when practiced, transforms the way you view yourself and the way others view you. And that thing is letting them miss you. I know it sounds simple, but the truth is it's one of the most powerful actions you can take to cultivate deeper connections, maintain your independence, and create the space for the magic to happen. You cannot be everywhere all the time. The more you give of yourself without boundaries, the more others begin to take you for granted. You lose your value. They don't appreciate you because they have constant access to you. But when you pull back, when you allow a little mystery, when you give people the chance to miss you, they begin to value you in ways they never could before. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding the simple law of scarcity. People value what they can't always have. And when you make yourself scarce, when you take time for yourself, when you don't always answer the phone, when you don't always give in to the needs of others, you create space for them to miss you. And when they miss you, they will cherish you. But here's the catch. You must be worthy of being missed. It's not about the quantity of time you give others, it's about the quality of that time. Make your moments count. Bring energy, bring authenticity, bring passion to every interaction. Now, what does this really mean in practical terms? It means living with intention. It means prioritizing your needs and desires. It means that you are the prize. And the moment you realize this, everything shifts. People will start to respect you more, appreciate you more, and yes, they will miss you more. So today, I challenge you to let them miss you. Create that space. Choose yourself when you need to. Don't be afraid to pull back. Understand that your time, your energy, and your presence are precious. Let them miss you. And when you return, watch the magic unfold. Let them miss you. Value scarcity. People cherish what they can't always have. Don't be afraid to pull back and allow others to miss you. Your absence creates appreciation. Quality over quantity. It's not about being present all the time. It's about making the moments when you are present meaningful and impactful. Prioritize yourself. Understand that you are the prize. By valuing your own time and energy, others will begin to do the same. Boundaries are essential. Establish clear boundaries to protect your time and energy. Don't be afraid to say no when necessary. This builds respect. Be intentional. Live with purpose. Your presence should be intentional, not passive. Make every interaction count. Don't be overavailable. Don't be at everyone's beck and call. Let others learn to appreciate your value by giving them space to miss you. Earn the right to be missed. Make sure you are always bringing something of value, whether it's energy, passion, authenticity, or support. Only then will others truly miss and appreciate you. Value scarcity. Let me ask you a question. How often do you find yourself saying yes to everything? How often do you sacrifice your own time, energy, and needs just to be there for others? We live in a world where the expectation is that we should always be available. That our value comes from how much we give and how often we show up. But here's the reality. The more you give yourself away, the less others appreciate your presence. You become a constant, a guarantee. And that's not a place of power. In fact, the more you make yourself available, the more you dilute your value. People will begin to take you for granted because they know they can always count on you to be there. But if you allow yourself to be a little more scarce, suddenly you create a shift. Scarcity doesn't just apply to resources, it applies to your time, your energy, and your presence. The less they can have of you, the more they will value what you give. When you make yourself scarce, you become rare, and when something is rare, it holds immense value. The power of scarcity is simple. Think about it. When there's a limited edition of anything, a car, a watch, a piece of art, it becomes more desirable. It becomes something people want because they know they can't always have it. The same rule applies to you. Don't be afraid to hold back, to create some distance, to make people long for your presence. Scarcity isn't about disappearing for long periods, but is about being intentional with your time. Think about it. Have you ever had a friend or colleague who was always around, always available, and always saying yes to everything? How did you feel about that person? Chances are you didn't value their time as much as you could have because you knew they were never going anywhere. But what about someone who doesn't always say yes? What about someone who has a life of their own, a purpose that they don't let others interrupt? They're the ones that stand out. They're the ones you remember. They're the ones you miss. In your personal relationships, in your career, even in your social life, value scarcity. Let people see you, appreciate you, and feel the absence when you're not around. It's the key to creating an aura of respect and admiration. When you become scarce, you shift from being a commodity to being a treasure. And this is not about playing games. It's about understanding the laws of human nature and acting accordingly. People don't appreciate what they have in abundance. They cherish what they have to work for. Now, I'm not telling you to become cold, distant, or disinterested. That's not what scarcity means. It means knowing when to show up and when to step back. Knowing that your time is valuable and not every moment needs to be spent serving others. When you make yourself too available, you dilute your influence. But when you allow space for people to long for your presence, they start to truly see and appreciate you for what you bring to the table. Scarcity creates the longing, and longing creates value. You need to understand that being scarce doesn't mean neglecting others. It means giving people the chance to experience the impact of your presence, rather than having it taken for granted. Don't be afraid to let people miss you. If you're always available, you become just another face in the crowd. But when you create the opportunity for absence, you create a demand for presence, and that is where the power lies. People value what they can't always have, and this is where you get to step into your power. Understand this principle and watch how it shifts your relationships and your opportunities. Quality over quantity. There is a common belief in our society that the more we give, the more we're appreciated. That the more time we spend with others, the deeper the connection. But what happens when you give too much? What happens when you constantly show up, but you're just there physically, without being present mentally and emotionally? What happens is you dilute the quality of your interactions. You exhaust yourself, and you leave nothing but the mere remnants of your presence. It's not about how often you show up, it's about how meaningful your presence is when you do. Quality over quantity means showing up when it truly matters, giving your full attention, your full energy, your full heart. Too many people are busy filling up their calendars with meaningless events, endless meetings, and social obligations. They think that the more they do, the more important they'll seem. But the truth is, this just exhausts you and makes you less effective in every area of your life. When you show up with intention, you bring depth to your relationships, to your work, and to your personal growth. If you give people pieces of yourself all the time, they start to take you for granted because there's nothing special about it. But when you show up with purpose, when you show up fully present, that's when you create magic. It's the difference between showing up to an event because you feel obligated and showing up because you're genuinely excited to be there. The latter leaves an impression. Think about the moments in your life that really mattered. Were they the ones where you gave your energy mindlessly? Or were they the moments when you were fully engaged, fully present, and bringing your best self to the table? The latter, right? This is the essence of quality over quantity. When you bring your best, people will notice. They will appreciate you for who you are in that moment, not just because you're there. You have to stop overloading your schedule with things that don't matter. Every commitment, every event, every meeting should align with your values and your goals. When you're focused on quality, you're focused on what really moves the needle in your life. In your career, quality is about the impact you have, not the number of hours you spend. You can work 100 hours a week, but if the quality of your work is mediocre, you're not going to stand out. But if you work fewer hours, yet your work is exceptional, you'll make a lasting impression. It's about finding the balance between being efficient and being effective. Make each moment count, whether it's in your work or your relationships. The essence of quality over quantity is recognizing that time is your most precious resource. How you spend it matters more than how much of it you give away. Make your time count. Make your moments matter. Be intentional with your energy. When you do this, you'll notice that people will value you more, your work will shine brighter, and your life will become more fulfilling. Prioritize yourself. In a world that constantly demands more of you, your time, your energy, your attention, it can be hard to remember one crucial truth. You come first. If you want to show up as your best self for others, you must first show up for yourself. So many people live their lives for others, putting everyone else's needs ahead of their own, thinking that by doing so, they will be loved, appreciated, or respected. But here's the thing, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give from a place of depletion. And yet, too many people fall into the trap of thinking that their worth comes from how much they sacrifice. But what they fail to realize is that this is a cycle that drains them, it erodes their spirit, and it leads to burnout. You can be there for others, but only if you're also there for yourself. To prioritize yourself means recognizing your own value and giving yourself permission to take up space. It means understanding that your needs, desires, and dreams are just as important as everyone else's. When you make yourself a priority, you set a standard for how others should treat you. You show them that you are worthy of respect, and they will begin to treat you as such. Think about it. How often do you feel like you're running on empty? Giving to everyone around you, but at the end of the day, there's nothing left for you. That feeling of exhaustion, of being overwhelmed, it comes when you've neglected your own well-being. When you give with an empty tank, and eventually, you start resenting the very people you're trying to help. But when you take time to prioritize yourself, when you set boundaries and make room for self-care, you start showing up in the world with more energy, more passion, and more authenticity. To truly prioritize yourself means saying no to things that drain you, even if they're not bad things. It's about giving yourself permission to say no to invitations, opportunities, and obligations that don't align with your values or your goals. It's about understanding that your time and energy are finite resources, and you must be intentional about where you allocate them. Prioritizing yourself also means listening to your body, your emotions, and your mind. You have to know when you need rest, when you need to step back, and when you need to step back, and when you need to recharge. Self-care is not selfish, it's essential. If you want to be a rock for others, you must first be grounded in your own strength. It's also about pursuing your passions and dreams without guilt. When you make yourself a priority, you stop seeking external validation. You understand that your worth isn't determined by how much you give to others or how much you sacrifice. Your worth is inherent, and it starts with how you see yourself. When you live with the belief that you deserve to be your own priority, you become unstoppable. Remember, prioritizing yourself is not about being selfish. It's about being self-aware. It's about showing the world that you understand your own worth, that you know what you need, and you will not sacrifice your happiness for the approval of others. When you prioritize yourself, you give yourself the space to grow. You give yourself the chance to create the life you truly want. And when you're living the life you truly desire, you'll be better equipped to help others do the same. You can't give what you don't have, so take care of yourself first and watch how everything else falls into place. Boundaries are essential.